Welcome into Kitchen Talk Pickleball Edition. I'm your host, Caitlin Miller, and this week joining us is Tracy Thomas and Torian with the official Pickleball E-Referee, a new app coming out. Thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having us. We're really excited. This is our first podcast for this new app, and we're really excited. So Thank you.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about this app. I know you were saying it's interactive, AI generated. Elaborate a little bit about that and what it offers.
All right. You want to talk the tech stuff?
I'll try. I'm not that techie myself, but basically we took the rule books, the official rule books that are out there by the U.S. Pickleball Association and the PPA. And we've used some machine learning and artificial intelligence to basically turn them into an interactive app so that folks can actually, if they're on the court, or even if they're not on the court, but if they're on the court, they can quickly give the app, the e-ref, their scenario of what just happened in a point or what question they have, and it will automatically, within a second or two, give you the answer to whose point it is or what the situation recommends. Was it a fault? Is it a point for the other side, etc. And it does so in a nice tone, not like just a regurgitation of the rules. So we've spent a lot of time with the developers, making sure that it's, like having a conversation.
Right. So to keep it kind of natural. So clearly you were seeing some issues, on the pickleball court that led you to create this, right?
Yeah. I would say, so Tracy's been playing pickleball a lot longer than I have. I played tennis my entire life. And then she asked me to go play with her one day over the winter. And I was really surprised. It was like an open play session. I was really surprised at the number of times I observed people sort of having disputes over what the rule was, or what the call should be, or whose point was it, or whose serve was it again. And when we left, I said, wait a minute, like, does this happen a lot, or was this just unusual? Maybe it's a lot of newbies. She said, no, it happens all the time. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to carry a pickleball rule book around with me. And then I was like, that seems insane to have to carry around a rule book.
I know people do.
So it kind of hit me based on some other software things I've been developing that we could use AI to do this. And that's how it kind of started.
Yeah, no, that's genius. And to your knowledge, does anyone else have any app similar to this?
Nothing that is actually AI generated and interactive. I mean, there are some that may have just a regurgitation of the rules laid out, in a little bit of a easier to understand way than the rule book. But no, we're the only ones.
Yeah. And let's say, the three of us are playing with someone else and we did come into a situation, maybe we'll keep it a simple one. Like one of the players thought it was in, the partner thought it was out. Obviously, we know that would be a call that you would say in according to the rule book.
Right.
But if we didn't know that and we went to your app and tried to explain that, is it audio, video, or walk us through kind of what that would look like?
Sure. So right now it's, you open the app and you get to basically like a chat screen, and you just,
well, first it asks if you're playing recreational or professional, because we do have both rule books in there.
Yep.
Okay.
So 99% of the time it's going to be recreational, right? So you pick recreational, and then if you're playing singles or doubles, so you're setting up how you are, and then the chat screen comes up.
Right. And then you just type in your scenario of whatever it is. There is an iWatch version that we're finishing up developing now that'll be out within a few weeks shortly. So you'll be able to actually speak into it as well.
Yes, like a voice to text function.
Yep.
Yeah, so you won't even have to have your phone, on the court with you.
Yeah.
Do it right into your smartwatch.
Right.
And AI, I mean, it seems to be, taking over in all aspects. How is AI useful for this app?
Well, because we've had some people ask us, well, why can't I just, go to Chat GPT or Claude or whatever and ask the same questions? But our what do you call it, bot or whatever you call it, has been trained.
Our RAG, we have a proprietary, what's called RAG in the background, that we've trained. That's why, if you were to just go into like, a regular AI Chat GPT, you're not going to get, because it is only taking things from here and there. Like we've trained it on all of the lingo and all of the little, fun sayings people have, and it knows what an Ernie is, and, all of that kind of stuff. So it's really been honed in on this sport.
Yeah. And I think just looking at the bigger picture too, it could probably ease the tension maybe on the courts. Like, I don't know if in those situations you saw people get upset with one another, but also learn the sport too.
Well, after Cassandra's experience, playing with me locally, I told her, when she said, does this happen a lot? And I said, oh my gosh. And I showed her, because I'm in all these Facebook groups, there's tons of, chat groups on Facebook for pickleball. And I showed her, I'm in one that's just called Pickleball Rules. And every single day people are posting about situations they had on the court and how it was resulted in a dispute, and I don't want to play with this person anymore. And, people are just kind of pushing the limits, I think sometimes, or since the sport is so accessible, and so available now to people. I did this when I first learned to play. It was me and my girlfriends, and they said, here's a paddle. We were drinking wine and, just playing. I didn't learn the proper way to do anything, and scoring, it took me several games to learn the scoring. So I think it's much more common. We read about it every day, just people getting frustrated, and, people, some people wanting like the section and rule number in the book. And some people know that. Trust me, there's some
I'm sure
out there who know all the rules by number and section. But for the average player, I think it'll just be, really just helpful,
right?
To have, let's pull up the app.
I come from a little bit of a different perspective, because I've played tennis since I was 4. And, I played competitively all through even college. And there's a definite etiquette and sportsmanship involved. And the first half hour that I was playing, I saw that level didn't exist.
A little less refined.
And it was, I don't know, for somebody that, takes their sport seriously, it really was like cringeworthy to me. And so I felt like this app is a good way to help the entire pickleball community, because I think you have a lot of folks that may never have been that deeply involved in a sport before now. Really, understand like that there are etiquette things involved, and sportsmanship is important for a lot of reasons. And so my feeling was that this would help just raise the level of sportsman-like conduct in the entire sport, if possible.
Well, and I think like what you said, it is so accessible now. It grew so fast. Some say like too fast. And with all the sports I grew up playing, it's like we got coached like from kids, and this is a sport everyone's just trying to learn on their own for the most part. It's a fun outlet for people. But yeah, so I can see where, we're not as familiar with the rules as we were if we grew up playing the sport and got coached and,
Right.
had referees our whole life. So I think that's where that gap, is there.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it will be empowering. Particularly I see again in, the groups that I'm in, a lot of women, they acquiesce when they're not 100% sure or they don't have proof in front of them to present to, someone else, a more aggressive player or someone who's more experienced that, maybe they do know the rule, but, they don't have it in front of
Hard
them
proof,
to hard
right.
proof of it. And
Yeah.
I do think sometimes that females can tend to get bullied,
Yeah.
on the court a little bit. And our nature, if I can generalize, is, let's just keep the peace. It's just a game. Let's move
Right.
on, and in the groups, I
Right.
see a lot of men who will, they'll fight to the death, over whether it was in or out or the
Right.
line or, whatever. So I think it can be empowering also for people who are just a little tentative and need a little extra, understanding of the rules or, hey, I have this right here in my pocket. Let me show you.
Yeah. And it's unbiased.
Right.
It's unbiased.
Right.
Yeah, no, totally. And it's interesting because I was just helping this woman in Nashville, learn how to play. And it was just she and I. So I was trying to explain to her the rules, but I said, what, the best way to actually learn the rules is to go and play an open play. But I think a lot of people are intimidated to go
very
to open
intimidating.
play.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what I said. I was like, we were going over the basics, how to dink, how to serve. But it's like, unless you don't, it's hard to understand the rules. I know it took me a long time and even just the scoring and you're like thinking so much about the rules, you can barely even focus on the game,
Right.
Right. So I think having that tool just courtside with you is definitely beneficial.
Yeah.
We think it's going to be a great tool for beginners. Maybe someone who's played a couple games and feels a little overwhelmed. I mean, you can just sit with the app and type in scenario after scenario and it will tell you,
But also, I think that we want feedback from folks that download it, and use it because maybe there are things that we haven't thought of as for like newer players versus more advanced players that, are ways we can enhance the whole thing. Even maybe it's some video or something like that, like video lessons for the newbies. I don't know, but, that's certainly very important to us that we get feedback from the users.
And that's the process you guys are kind of going through now, right? So you're having some people test out your app before it's officially launched, or have you launched it yet?
No, before it's officially launched, it's going to be launching in the next few days. But yeah, we've been having some beta testing done for a few weeks to get feedback and make sure there's no glitches in the actual performance of answering the questions and answering them correctly.
right.
Yes. And how is that beta testing? How has that been going?
It's been going great.
Yeah.
It's been going great, and the feedback has been really positive. I think for some people that are, consider themselves super advanced, they may not feel like that they need to rely on something like this. Yeah. But in my mind, even if I'm a very advanced player, I would rather have something like this downloaded in my phone in case, rather than start like an argument on a court.
Totally. And where are you two based out of?
Well, we're in Lower Delaware, actually, in Rehoboth Beach. Yep.
Oh, I love Rehoboth. I'm from New York, but my mom grew up going down to Rehoboth in the summer and stuff.
Okay.
So it's such a pretty area.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, like you were saying, there's a lot of tension the first time you went out and tried. And this sport is supposed to be, just a healthy outlet for people, a way for all abilities, all types of backgrounds to just come out. It's, an inexpensive sport. So it's like, you want to keep that positivity on the court.
Right. Yeah, that's very important. Yeah, because that's how she presented it to me. Was, it's, people of all ages and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And when I got out there, I was like, whoa, this is a little bit different than what I was expecting. And, at least I was grateful that I have my tennis skills, that I could hold my own very well. And maybe quiet some folks down a little bit right away. But
I love it.
I still have to school her on the rules when we play doubles together.
yeah,
Yeah, and that's the best way to learn is just to
Yeah.
go out, do it, play,
right,
and then have a partner that's ideally like your friend or just patient to kind
right.
of explain everything to you. That's
Yeah,
always the
yeah.
best in
It
my
was funny.
opinion.
The last time we played at the club over here, doubles, and when we finished, she said, "I didn't realize, how aggressive you are." And I said, "What do you mean? I'm not being aggressive." She's like, "Yeah, you are. You like." I'm like, "Well, if I'm
She's a
gonna,
banger.
I'm not though. If I'm
Yes, you
gonna
are.
Well,
go,
I'm a tennis player too, so I
I,
started off as a banger.
hey, I'm playing to win."
I have a good net game, and she's the banger. So we even got
Hey, you
little.
make for a good team then.
Yeah, that's what we're. And she's a lefty, so yeah,
So
we're
that
working.
is so difficult to play against.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that'll work to your
Yeah.
Yeah,
advantage.
Especially with my slice
yeah,
backhands.
she's got
There you go.
a hand slice. So yeah, we want to do some tournaments at some point, but
Yeah.
we just
It's been a little busy right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, and then hopefully that is a feature that people can use, like even, traveling around or competing at PPA, APPs, either on the amateur level where you're not always guaranteed a referee,
Right,
I feel
right.
like that could really come into play there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's on our radar. We have a lot of ideas, swirling around sort of, how we could maybe build a community within the app and then, as far as marketing it to clubs or facilities for tournaments, because I know a lot of them are unofficiated.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where we're looking to move in the future. I think the opportunities are really limitless.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exciting.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see people who have like this passion, for pickleball and are able to make it into a career or a job. So, what are your backgrounds and kind of well, you kind of explained how you came up with this idea, but it is pretty technical. So, what are your backgrounds?
Well, I was actually a money manager for, the last 2 decades. And I
Okay.
sold my business last year, a little more than a year ago, and had in the last couple of years actually gotten more interested in learning about how to code because I had some ideas for software development that I felt like I at least needed to understand how to code, even though I wouldn't be doing the coding.
Right.
So I know enough to be dangerous and talk the language to the people and know what people are needed. So I launched basically a SaaS development company a year ago, and we're building a fintech app as well. But once we came up with this pickleball idea, I kind of felt like we needed to move quickly on it.
Yes. Yeah,
So,
to be the first, like you said, because it is growing so quickly and people are
Right.
coming out with, I've had multiple people on the podcast come out with now these remote coaching apps and,
Hmm.
those types of things. But I have not heard about the like a referee type app. So that's good
Yeah.
for you guys.
Yeah, we're really excited and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We did our due diligence for sure just to see, if there was something out there that, we could do better or, we were really kind of surprised to see there wasn't anything out there. But, we'll see
yeah.
what goes on. I own a travel agency.
Okay.
And I have a flexible sort of schedule and can work from anywhere sort of situation. So I don't know, this just sort of, like I said, I was the pickleball player. It's really, I used to be a marathon runner and had a knee injury and haven't been able to run in years, and this was really the first thing. I've tried so many things. And I don't know if you're a runner, there's just something about running that is just such a release and such a stress reliever. It got me through my
Yes.
divorce, my empty nesting, all of that. And then, when I couldn't run anymore, I really felt lost, and pickleball is actually the first thing. Like I said, I learned this sport about 6 years ago, but would play once or twice a year and here and there. Or I'd go for a couple months and then I wouldn't play for 6 months. And so
Yeah.
I guess about last April or so, I started really trying to play, several times a week and get, improve my skills and really learn the game. But it's the first thing I found since running that has really given me that excitement. I never played a sport my entire life. Never even considered myself athletic. So for me to find something that is exciting and fun and I just can't seem to get enough of, it was just exciting for me. So,
And that's so great to hear. I feel like there's so many people, that have had injuries or like, big life situations where they like need, a second chance or a healthy outlet. Like I've had 2 back surgeries from rowing crew in college and that was horrible. I never thought I'd play a sport, really competitively again until I found pickleball. It's a lot like better for my back than tennis. So, it's so great and like refreshing to hear these stories and how good it's been. And so that's why it's nice to see like your app trying to keep and promote that, positivity and keep the tension off the courts.
Yeah, because it is a stress, or supposed to be intended to be a stress reliever for a lot of people. People work all day and hit the courts up after work. The last thing you want to do is, have some kind of argument or walk away from the court feeling, bad in any way.
Yeah. And carrying the rule book around, I mean, it's like, that's like because I had to study that for my coaching test. It was like 75 plus pages, I think. And, there's no way the average person or most people would read that and also retain all of that too.
Exactly. That's, yeah.
And playing pickleball, there's so many weird scenarios that, like the ball bounces on the other side, but then bounces back on your side. And, all sorts of crazy things. So,
yeah. And who are some of the, like, or you don't have to say who, but what types of people are doing the beta testing for you guys?
Just folks from around the country that play pickleball at all different levels, basically, that volunteer to be part of our beta test. And some of them are in pickleball clubs that we know here locally.
Trying to get a good cross section.
Yeah, we're trying to get a good cross section, male, female, skill levels, etc. Yeah. iPhone users, Android phone users, because it's available on both.
I was going to say, when you guys are, launching the app in the next few days, where can you find the app to download?
Yeah, they're going to be on both app stores. Just look up pickleball rules, Pickleball E-Referee, and it's the official Pickleball E-Referee. But if you just put in Pickleball E-Referee, I'm sure it'll be coming up, or Pickleball rules. Yeah.
And how long did it take? That's exciting. You guys are about to launch this app you've been working so hard on. I mean, how long did it take you to kind of like develop this and put this all together?
Well, Caitlin, I will say that probably not as long as it would take most, just because it's not my first rodeo in starting in startups and in kind of doing things quickly, I guess, based on my background. So I think we started full-on development in June. Okay. And I would say the app itself has been workable since probably sometime in August.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just working out all the little kinks because we don't want to put it out there, with any sort of glitches or anything.
We call it the MVP version, which means like, the minimum viable product. So there's, the core function of it being for rules works, and it works really well. There's not a lot of games or other bells and whistles on it yet, but we felt like that was things that we could roll out over time, particularly with feedback.
And that's smart because, if you have a good high quality product out there and you build upon that, people are going to, be interested. Whereas if you put out, a lower quality that has those glitches, then they might not be as inclined to do so. So
Right.
Right.
definitely smart.
We can sit back and try to guess what people want, but as far as enhancements to the app or any other aspects of the app, but I kind of said we put it out there and let them tell us.
Right.
Right.
Well, I don't think it'll take too long for, because we're open to feedback. So I don't think it will take too long for us to hear, what people, crowdsourcing, just, oh, it would be cool if the app had this, or, and that's kind of what we're hoping.
And just one last thing before we go. I mean, what are some of your long-term goals with this app?
Well, we've got some more ideas in terms of software development behind this that we're already working on, actually. Awesome. So, yeah, I think it's opened up in a really nice way. Like I said, I grew up playing sports and played tennis, and then went into a career that was completely, stressful, and I didn't pick up a racket for years. So it's nice that I can be now involved again in kind of a conglomeration of startup technology and sports altogether. So we're working on some more sports things for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait. Congratulations. I can't wait to see the app when it's out. And again, go check out, the Apple Store, the Google Store to, check out this app when you're playing on the courts. And Tracy, Cass, thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned to see who joins us in the kitchen next time.